your source for sonic relaxation. Sacramento Smooth Jazz.
Welcome back to Sacramento Smooth Jazz, where music speaks volumes. I'm your host, Michael Andrews, and today we spotlight Darryl Williams, a force in urban jazz. His bass playing has shaped a career spanning from opening for Al Green to dominating the smooth jazz scene. Darryl's path, defined by persistence and passion, shines through in his Billboard Top 10 hit, Here to Stay. Featuring Huge Groove, his latest track, San Jose, keeps the momentum, melding piccolo and electric basses, featuring Rick Braun and produced by Adam Hawley. And Here to Stay, Darryl's album stands as a testament to his musical journey, enriched by collaborations with Huge Groove, Jeff Lorber, Paul Brown. This album, emerging from life's challenges, marks a significant chapter in Darryl's life and career. From his beginnings in Los Angeles and San Diego, evolving from a funk band with his brother to sharing stages with jazz greats all over the world, Darryl Williams' story is one of relentless dedication. Today, we dive into his journey, explore his inspirations, and celebrate his current triumphs. Stay tuned for an engaging session with the remarkable Darryl Williams right here on Sacramento Smooth Jazz. Darryl, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Michael. How are you?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. But listen, man, how you doing? I've seen you out there, man. You're doing your thing. You're not just playing, for yourself. You're out there playing with other people, collaborating. What's going on,
yes,
man?
Sir.
Talk to me, man. What's happening with you lately?
Hey, I'm out here just keeping it going, in the music industry and the adjusting changes in the genre, etc. And I'm just moving along, man.
Yeah.
Making it happen.
So talk to me about the bass. You're known for that. Why the bass? Why the bass and not another instrument?
Well, the reason I originally wanted to be a guitar player, but my brother, his birthday is exactly 1 week before mine. We're 1 year and 1 week apart. So he received a guitar on his birthday. So my birthday being a week later, I didn't want to get the same thing. So I was almost forced into playing the bass, although I was a big fan of Louis Johnson before I played the bass. He's really the reason I started playing bass. But so that's why I got a bass.
Okay.
We were like the brothers Williams.
Oh, wow. He's okay. So by default, you're like, well, since his birthday was first, you say, okay, I got to be creative. I want to play guitar, but I'll take the bass. And
yes, sir.
And the rest is history, and you just stuck by it. So what was that like? You get lessons? Where did you get lessons from? Were you self-taught? Talk to me about that.
When we lived in L.A., I was looking for an easy class in the 7th grade, so I decided to sign up for orchestra. That's really how I got into music, but, I didn't take it seriously. I was playing the cello, so we moved to San Diego the next year, and once again, I got an A in orchestra, so I, signed up again, and there were 5 cello players and 1 string bass player. I kind of had to play string bass from that point on, and, my brother getting the guitar. So I already knew a little bit about the instrument at that point, when I got an electric bass. I did take lessons growing up. I remember I met a musician at a music store one time, and he said to me, if you want to be serious about music, you find the individual in town who's doing what you want to do. And you connect with that person, and you take lessons from that person. Through that advice I received when I was 14 years old.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. And that's good advice too. Find someone that's doing what you want to do in your local area. I like getting these little life lessons from artists like you. You guys say little things. I'm like, that's a life lesson. And
yes,
and being open, being teachable, coachable, trainable to understand.
Yep.
And so has there ever been a time where you say, I want to change, or you always knew that this is it, I'm sticking with this?
Well, I always say, and a lot of musicians I know say the same thing, the music industry a lot of times is not something you choose, it's something that chooses you. And what I mean by that is through opportunities, because if I didn't have the opportunities early on, I may be doing something else. I haven't really looked to do anything else because it's just kind of flowed on for the last over 35 years. Wow. I've stayed consistently working and progressing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you never changed?
Yeah. So that's why I've never changed. Yeah.
That's good. Wow. So when you're composing a new piece, what unusual sources of inspiration do you turn to?
Well, a lot of times it's a moment or a mood. I was talking with Adam Holly one time, and I asked him to send over some songs that he had in mind that maybe we could collaborate on. And he sent what's now known as San Jose. There was no melody on it, and the arrangement was a little different. But it inspired me because of the dance hall beat or reggaeton type of groove.
Yeah.
Okay, my wife's family is from Costa Rica.
Okay.
And that's kind of a predominant groove in Costa Rica, like in the clubs and stuff like that. That kind of reggaeton kind of groove.
Yeah.
Okay, so my wife's first cousin was the vice president of Costa Rica from 2018 to 2022. Okay, so that was the inspiration between that particular song for San Jose. Her name was Epsy Campbell. You just get inspirations like that. And a lot of stuff, I'll just start messing around on keyboard and I'll get an inspiration, or I'll mess around with a groove somehow.
Right.
So things start from the bottom and kind of build from there,
Yeah. Okay. So basically it's like, hey, the life's frequencies, if you will, that go by, you're like, let me pick on that. Let me think about this. And I like that. Okay.
It's just different things. There's no one inspiration for each song I write. It could be something random. Either I hear a song on the radio and indirectly it may influence me to write a song.
So Darryl, tell me something. What has been an inspiration for you in this industry? You playing all these years, what's been an inspiration?
Well, early on, and even now, even today, the great bassist Marcus Miller was a major influence on me. And I remember when I was 15 years old, watering the grass in front of my house. And this friend of mine, who was a mentor of sorts, he pulled up in my front yard playing Run for Cover. It was David Sanborn with Marcus Miller on the bass. And it totally blew me away. And I said, who is that? And he said, man, that's Marcus Miller. It was off the Voyeur album, which was released in 1981. That one particular album is what really drew me into the genre. And it was probably my biggest influence in terms of really getting serious about music. Hearing Marcus, I would say it was that thing. Hearing Marcus, it was incredible. First time I heard him.
That's amazing, and thank you for sharing that with us. I really appreciate that because, that's some great music right there to be inspired by for sure. Right. Now, with your writing, you've collaborated with many amazing artists.
Yes, sir.
What's one unexpected lesson you've learned from working with anybody? Just unexpected. Typically, I like to ask, what have you learned? But what was it that was unexpected?
That's a great question. Never be afraid to ask. You don't know the answer to something unless you step out on a limb and ask. I think that's the surprising thing, because me even asking individuals to perform on a song or to guest on a song, a lot of times you can just be afraid or just assume they may say no. So I think the unexpected thing is that I have so many great artists willing to say yes.
Yeah.
So I think that's the most unexpected thing, I would say.
And you've gotten that because of your relationships too,
Relationships, yeah.
Relationships matter in all areas of life, not just, personal, business. I mean, this is business too. We look at artists. Artists are, in my opinion, you guys are a business entity. They have to be exposed. Business have to be exposed. There has to be some marketing and of course having a great product really helps too. So you have a great product. And so when it comes to working with other people, you've been on so many stages all over the world. What's been a memorable experience? Like, wow, what stands out? And I know I know there's so many different experiences, but what's the one thing that stands out to you?
The one that stands out goes way back to 2003. And I remember I was actually based St. Louis, Mississippi at Casino Magic. It's no longer there. It was wiped away, I believe, during Katrina. It was a casino, and I performed down there with Chaka Khan. And I remember just thinking, I can't believe I'm playing Hollywood with Chaka Khan.
Right.
Old Rufus song. It just kind of hit me at that moment. That's one thing that's like one moment I'll never forget. It kind of just hit me at that moment. I can't believe I'm I'm performing with Shaka Khan. We're talking 21 years ago, but I've had a lot of great experiences, since then or even before, but that's one that really comes to mind.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, with your experience over 3 decades, there are some younger cats that just, they're trying. What do you say to them? What do you say to these folks that say, hey, because, nowadays, a lot of people want this instant microwave success. They think it's popcorn and you just put the thing in there and 3 minutes later you got what you want. This is you have 3 decades plus.
Right.
So what do you say to someone who's just getting started or maybe they're young and, what do you say to them? That in any stage of their music, what do you say to them to keep going?
To be aware of when changes in the industry are happening. So, and understand that there's way more opportunities than just performing live. I would say really get into songwriting and producing as well. And just broaden your horizons. Just look at other things besides just performing live. And also understanding with social media and all this, there's just so many other opportunities in entertainment or in music now. It's just, and you have to be aware of what's out there and all these different opportunities. So, and also I would say don't get discouraged. If you're young, like the one thing I mentioned earlier, you find somebody who's doing what you want to do and you connect with that person and you try to develop a relationship with that person or persons. That's the best advice. Oh, and there's some advice that my uncle, who worked for ESPN for almost 30 years, he was a sportscaster on ESPN radio in Las Vegas. And he told me years ago, always return your phone calls. Now, I haven't been great with that, but I remember he said, this is the best advice I can give you. Always return your phone calls. So those are just a few bits of advice I can give a young musician who wants to learn and grow.
Nice.
And be serious about what you're doing. Be serious about what you're doing and understand that, I hate to say this, but music is secondary, is like secondary. You have to understand that's a business first and then there's music. So
nice. That's some great wisdom right there from Darryl Williams, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking with bassist Darryl Williams, and he's sharing some inspiration, but also sharing a little bit of his history and talking about his music. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in here to Sacramento Smooth Jazz. Now, you have, you've played with so many different people, and there's that genre, that we talk about sometimes, smooth jazz, urban jazz. If you were to experiment with a completely different genre, what would it be and why?
Funk, because I grew up playing funk. So, and I love the groove, So it would be funk. Yeah,
come on,
it would definitely be funk.
And I can see you right now doing that with that bass. I can see it, and when you're connecting with the audience, and whether you're supporting an artist or you're out there just playing, on your own, being the featured artist, I've seen how the audience reacts, especially when you're throwing it down. What's been your experience when you're connecting with an audience? What is the key to truly connecting with an audience during your live performance?
I think the key thing for me is to look at the audience. You have to look at people in their eyes. That's how you connect. Because if you look through people or over people, it's not a true connection. So I look at people when I'm playing. If I'm taking a solo, for example, or if I'm doing, one of my originals and I'm performing, I try to look at the audience. I try to just connect with individuals as I'm performing, because you find that one person or those few people in the audience who are really into what you're doing, you know. And those are the people who really can inspire you at the moment to improvise or just to go somewhere else when you're performing. Yeah. So that's how I connect.
Well, speaking personally, I would tell you, last time I saw you live, a lot of us, what I'm about to say, people can understand this. When the groove is getting real good, we have the tendency to make that bitter beer face, like, ooh, and we're shaking our heads. We're like, oh, we're looking at each other. The audience, we don't even know it. Some of these people, we're all looking at each other, nodding our heads. Like, ooh, and so it's a good feeling when someone like you just throw down, and because you're looking at them, and I see you over there. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, oh, I know who that is. He's about to get down, and so I enjoy the interaction that you bring to the audience, So I really appreciate that. How can our audience get in touch with you? What do you have online, social media-wise? What's going on?
Okay, my Instagram is DW Music 2.
And the number 2?
Website,
number 2?
The number 2. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then my website is DarrylWilliamsMusic.com. And if you want to reach me, I would say either through Instagram, because I get people who send me messages on Facebook, and then I'll see them 3 months later and they'll say, hey man, I sent you a message on Facebook. And I tell them I rarely check Messenger on Facebook or even Instagram. You know, I just happened to check and saw your message. I rarely check. So I always say, if you go to my website, you know, that's the best way to reach me, because my email's on there and my business number's on there as well. So that's the best way to connect with me.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, as we close, I want, of course, our listeners to hear one of your tracks, but I want them to know something about it, you know, how it originated, what inspired it, you know, who's working on it behind the scenes. Give us some nitty gritty about one of the tracks that you want to share with us. What do you have for us? I
had a conversation with Adam Holly, I think it was last year, in January of last year, about the fact that I was working on a new record. And he said, I have a song that I think you might like. So he sent over what's now San Jose, was the instrumental track. And I wrote the melody to it. And I just heard Rick Braun on the track in my head. So I reached out to Rick and I asked him if he would mind playing on it. He said he'd love to. So I reached out to Adam again, of course. And, you know, we arranged that for Rick to play on the track. And then we took it from there. It was produced by Adam. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it was written by myself, Adam Holly, and Carnell Harrell, who's the great musician in the smooth jazz genre as well. So I'm happy with how the song turned out, and they've been playing it, and hopefully all the fans out there will like the song.
Well, San Jose has a unique vibe itself, and ladies and gentlemen, you get to hear it right now on Sacramento Smooth Jazz. Darryl, I really appreciate you spending some time with me today and having our listeners know a little bit more about you, man. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Sacramento Smooth Jazz. To continue listening to Smooth Jazz 24/7, follow Sac Smooth Jazz on social media and listen by going to sacsmoothjazz.fm.